Hello everyone, my name is Nigat Nas and I have started this Python course content. So the topics that I have already covered is the first topic, Introduction to Python, which included history of Python, why you should learn Python, features of this programming language, then how to install Python on Windows and Linux, and the Python IDLE or IDE. Now I will be taking up basics of Python, identifiers, keywords, fundamental data types, and typecasting. So these four topics I will be taking up in this basics of programming, basics of Python, and I'll be starting with identifiers. So any problem to anyone in the previous topic? Those who have attended my session yesterday, any problem to anyone? So if no, then let me start with the session. So welcome everyone to Python course by Nigat Naz Ansari. This is the details of the batch. So batch number is 193. And if you wish to enroll into this batch, this is the QR code on the left-hand side to register. Details are shown here. And to scan the course content, which I have shown you, this is the QR code on the right-hand side. If you want to connect with the support team, so you have support@logiclabstech.com, this email ID. Plus, you can visit the website of Logic Labs Tech, or you can use any of the phone number to directly talk to the team. Then for general query, you can connect to support team, and all the session recording and notes will be accessed. You can access through LMS, that is Graphy, your portal. The first 5 sessions will be free to attend, and the 6th session will be only for the registered candidate. So shall I start with today's session? The first topic for the day, the identifiers in Python. And my humble request to everyone, please raise question, ask your queries, or try to participate in the discussion. Rather than having a monotonous delivery from my side only, I want to have this session a more interactive one. So the first topic is identifiers in Python. And when I'm talking about basics of Python, so I will be talking about building blocks of Python. So when we used to be in our primary school or in our senior secondary school, when we started bio, then we talked about cell. That what is cell? The basic building block of our body. So our body is made up of cell. When we talk about chemistry, then we talk about atom. That the basic building block of each and every component is atom. Similarly, when I talk about programs in Python, the code in Python, then we also have building blocks here. We also have building blocks here. And the building blocks which are actually the part of your program, when you are writing statements in Python, then these building blocks are the content or are the constituent of those statements. So one of the building block that I will be discussing today is identifiers. So if I call Shilpa, Smita, Mudassir, Martin, Subhash, so when I call Krishna, so only Krishna will answer. When I call Bhuvneshwari, only Bhuvneshwari will be answering me. So by your name, I am able to identify you people. I am not getting your face because your camera is not on. So how I am identifying you people with your name. So your name is acting as your identifier for me. Similarly, If I want to identify a function in Python, a class in Python, module, or any variable which is holding some value, I need to give the name to that resource or to that component of the Python program. And the name can be used as the identifier to identify each component, to identify each resource. I need to give a name, and that name is known as identifier, which is acting as a pointer. So if I ask you to enter the building through gate number 2, so what you will search for? You will search for the gate where the label is 2. So that label is the identifier. So out of so many gates, out of so many doors in that building, how you are identifying gate number 2? So it is because of the label. It is because of the label. So here there are so many doors. So I told you to enter through gate number 2. So what will you look for? You will look for this label. And this label, this number is the identifier, which is making you actually identify the gate, that this gate is number 2. Similarly, when you are storing some value in Python, so when you are storing some value in Python, let me just go to my whiteboard. Suppose I want to store 10 and 20 so that I can take the addition, I can do the addition of these two numbers. So what I need to do, I need to give 10 as the input. I need to give 20 as the input. And when we are giving this 10 and 20 as the input, where are these values getting stored? Can anyone tell me where are these values getting stored? Yes, please, you can now use the chat box. I have enabled the chat. So where are these values getting stored? So I'm entering 10 from my keyboard and 2 through my keyboard. So these are getting stored in computer memory. So you have the memory cells. And these are getting stored. You are storing this 10 in binary format. So I'm writing this, but actually it is converted to binary and it is stored in binary. When I'm using 20, so it is getting stored in another memory location. But there are a lot of memory locations in the computer memory. How to identify where I have kept 10? How to identify where my value 20 is getting stored? Because when I will be taking the sum of these two values, I need to call 10 from this memory location. I need to retrieve the value 20 from this memory location so that I can do the sum and I can display the output. So how to read memory? How to read the value from the computer memory? How to identify that 10 is stored in this and 20 is stored in this? So I need to give the name to these memory cells, a pointer to these memory cells. And I'm writing that let the pointer to this memory cell is A and the pointer to this memory cell is B. So what I'm doing, I'm storing 10 in A. So this is how you store the value in a memory cell which is identified by A. So A, you can say, is the name given to this memory location. B is the name given to this memory location. Yes, Bhuvneshwari. And B is 20. So what I'm doing here actually, I am assigning the value to the container, to these memory containers. So these memory cells are also known as containers. So I'm assigning the values. So which operation I'm doing? I'm doing the assignment operation. And this is equal to sign is my assignment operator. And what it is doing, it is actually taking the value from the left hand side and storing the value in, right hand side, and storing the value in the container which is identified by the identifier on the left hand side. So when I'm writing A is equal to 10, so 10 is assigned to the container. 10 is stored in the container which is pointed by A. And you can store any value in A. So you can store any value in A, 20.6, hello. So you can store any value in A. So A is actually changing its value. So the value is not fixed in A. You can change the value that is pointed by A. So we call this as a variable as well. So memory container is a variable because the value stored in the variable can change. So the memory container is also known as a variable, and you are identifying this variable, this container, by name A. So A is the name of this variable, this container, and we call it as an identifier. So now when I want to print A and A plus B, I need to print 10 and 20. So what I'll be writing, I'll be just using A and B. And when I'm using A and B, actually the value will be substituted here. So from A, value 10 will be substituted, and from B, value 20 will be substituted. So now I am calling the value by using the name of that container. I am calling the value by using the name of that container, and it is known as identifier. So we are using these variable names or identifier just to call the value. And we can use these identifier to use the value stored inside this memory container in different section of my code. Clear to everyone? And it is not related to only variables. You can define a class. You can give the name of a class. For example, let me give the name of a class as student. So I can give the name of the class as a student. So my name of the class is a student. So now this name given to my class is an identifier. I can define a function. So let me give my function. So the name that I am giving to my function, this is the identifier. So when I need to use this function, I will be calling it by the name. When I need to use this class, I will be calling it by its name by using this identifier. Clear to everyone? Is this clear to everyone? Can I get the response in the chat box? Thank you, Shrikant. Thank you, Mudassir. Now, how to use this in the system, on how to use this practically. Let us implement this. So I'm giving A as 10. So this is the initialization of a variable. Why? Because I'm storing 10 in the variable, which is a container in memory. Then B is suppose 30. And let me print. So to display the output on the screen, what I'm doing, I am using an output function, which is the print function. And yesterday I told you that print function or any function is followed by parenthesis. And what you need to print on the screen, so you need to get A plus B as the output. So now A plus B will be used as an argument to my function print. And why I'm using A and B, not directly 10 and 30? So I'm using 10 and 30 through the variable. So these identifier, when I'm calling A, it is actually returning the value here. When I'm calling B, it is returning the value 30 here. So when I'm calling A, so print A plus B. So what it is doing the value substitution. So A is storing, or A is pointing to value 10, B is pointing to value 30, and now it is evaluating the expression, and now this print function will give the output as 40. So this is how execution is taking place. So this is how we are executing these statements. So when you execute this, you will get the answer as 40. And you can use A and B to perform any other operation. Suppose you want to multiply A and B. So you want to multiply 10 and 30. So you can use the same variable, because ultimately A will return value 10 and B will return value 30. So if you want to use same values in different section of your code, you can use the variables or you can use the identifiers to substitute these values in different parts of your code. So we are getting the output as 300. So 2 print functions and 2 output I am getting. And these 2 are the assignment statements, assigning value to the variable, assigning value to the memory container, which is identified by A and B respectively. And is equal to is the assignment operator. And how is equal to is doing? It has right to left associativity, means the value 10 on the right hand side will be assigned to a memory container which is pointed by A. So it has right to left associativity, that when we start explaining this statement, I will start from right and then moving towards left. Any problem to anyone in the identifier? Any problem to anyone in the identifier? Okay. So it is not necessary that you can write A and B. You can give any other variable. That first number is 10. Second number is 20. And now when you want to use 10 and 20, you need to use the variable first number plus second number. So it is not necessary that you give A and B as the variable name or as the identifier name. You can give any name that you like. And it is better that you give a more sensible or self-explanatory variable name or the identifier name, so that when other person is looking at your code, he can easily identify that 10 is which value. It is the value for the first number. 20 is the value of the second number. But what if I use space here? So when I execute this, I will be getting an error. So I'm getting the error in line number 10. Sorry, in line number 9. I'm getting the error. And it is saying that first space is not there. So syntax error is there. So I am not following the rule. So there are certain rules which I need to follow while giving the name to my variable or to my classes or to my function. So choosing the name of the identifiers, I need to follow some rules. And the first rule is, so there are certain rules. So the first rule says that you cannot have a variable with a special character other than underscore. So you can use variable name. So variable name can consist of letters, English alphabets, digits, and the special character that is allowed is underscore. You cannot use a space because the space is a special character. You cannot use a space. Otherwise, you will be getting a syntax error. That invalids syntax. You are not following the rule while giving the name to your variable or while using an identifier. Second rule is, these are case sensitive. These are case sensitive means if you are using A is equal to 10, for example, and when you want to print the value of A, you are using capital A. So this will be giving you error because small a and capital A both are considered as different identifier. So these are different because Python is case sensitive. So these two are considered as two different identifiers. These are not considered as same. Third rule says that your identifier can start with digit, can start with letter, can start with underscore, but cannot start with digit. It cannot start with a digit. So this is the third rule. And what is the fourth rule? Fourth rule says that you cannot use a reserved word. So there are some words which have the reserved meaning. And we call these as reserved words or keywords, which I will be explaining you after this topic. So keywords cannot be used as an identifier. So keywords cannot be used as an identifier. So these are some rules for defining the variable name or the identifier name. It can consist of letters. It can be a combination of letter, digit, and underscore. Case sensitive. Then it can start with letter or underscore, but the identifier name cannot start with a digit. And reserved words you cannot use the reserved words which have some special meaning, which have some special task to perform in this Python code. And those reserved words are known as keywords. You cannot use these words to be your identifier. So let us try all these things, all these rules practically. So the first rule says that it cannot contain any other special character other than underscore, letters, and digits. So you can see when I'm using space here, I'm getting an error. But in place of a space, if you want to use this underscore, so second underscore number, and you have to use the same identifier name while calling. So assigning and calling, the identifier name should be same. So when I execute this, you can see I'm getting 30. Means no problem, I'm getting the output. 10 plus 20 is 30. Then if I want to use the numbers and digits, so let me write number 1 and let me write number 2. So now I'm using letters, underscore, and digit. And you need to call the same identifier which you are using in the assignment. So number 1 and number 2. So now let me try whether I'm getting 30 as the answer or not. Let me change the number. Let me change it to 50. So 10 plus 50, I'm expecting 60. So now I'm getting 60 as the answer. So the first rule I have proved, no other special character other than underscore, and letters and digits are also allowed. I hope this is clear to everyone. The first rule. Second rule is about case sensitivity. So I'm using number underscore 1. Let me change the case of any of the character. Number underscore 1. So now in statement number 9, I'm using number in the lowercase, and in statement number 13, I'm using a capital N in my number underscore 1 identifier. So let me try to execute. So I'm storing value which is pointed by number underscore 1, and I'm calling some other identifier. So I will be getting an error because these two, number 1 and number underscore 1, are treated as two separate identifiers because Python is considering the case. So you can see I'm getting the error in line number 13, where I'm calling another variable which is not existing, which is not actually, it is not having any value assigned to it. And it is getting a name error that I'm using a wrong name for my identifier. So it is saying that, did you mean number underscore 1? So it is giving me suggestion as well. That, did you mean number underscore 1? And I'm getting a name error that I'm using wrong name here. So I'm having this number underscore 1 with lower N, and I'm calling number underscore 1 with capital N. So it is saying that you are using wrong name of your identifier. So do you supposed to use this number underscore 1? So it is giving me suggestion as well, the correct one. so that I can easily find the bug and I can rectify it. So this is my second rule, case sensitivity. So whatever variable you are using for assignment, you have to use the same variable name for value substitution as well. Now, what if I need to start the variable name with a digit? So let me write first number and let me write second number. And I will be using the same to call these values. And here you can see when I execute this, I am getting an error. And what error I'm getting? Syntax error. That I am getting a syntax error, that invalid decimal literal. I'm not supposed to start an identifier name with a digit. So it is a wrong assignment, or it is a wrong, you can say, a rule. It is a wrong syntax that I'm using for defining the name of my variable. So this is wrong. I cannot start with a digit. I cannot start an identifier name with a digit. And then we have the reserved words or the keywords. So reserved words or the keywords are, for example, I'm using for. It has some reserved meaning. I'm using if. I'm using else. So these are my keywords because already the meaning of these words are defined. I cannot use this for to store any value. So let me try this. And it will be giving me an error. So let me use for to store a value. And let me use for here. So it is supposed to repeat this statement. It is supposed to repeat this statement. So it is saying syntax error in line number 9 that for is equal to 10. I cannot use a keyword which has some special meaning to store my value. I'm getting a syntax error. So reserved words or keywords I cannot use as an identifier. And you should give the meaningful identifiers to your program for more readability, so that others can understand your program, your code very easily. For example, if I need to calculate simple interest, so what is the formula of simple interest? Can anyone tell me? Can anyone write the formula of simple interest in the chat box? What is the logic to calculate simple interest? What values do I need? Am I audible? So the formula is I require principal, the amount on which I need to calculate the interest, rate, and time. So I require 3 values. Suppose the principal is 100, time is 2 years, and rate is 10%. So I'm keeping really simple values. And you can see that I'm using principal, time, and rate. So now when you see this, you understand that what is 2, it is time. What is 10, it is rate. And when I'm writing this, you can identify easily that this is simple interest, which is having principal into rate into time. And then I can print this simple interest. So now with the help of this identifier which I have taken, you can easily understand what is this 100, what is this 2, what is this 10, and what is this 100, 2000. It is the simple interest. So sorry, I forgot to divide it by 10. So I forgot to divide it by 10, by 100, sorry. So 20 is my simple interest. But if I write A, B, C, if I write A, if I write B, and if I write C, and let me write D here. So you will not be knowing that what is this A, what is this B, what value is 100, which value you have taken as 100. So which value you have taken as 2. So you are not. So it is not clear by this code that what is this A, B, C, and D, that what I'm calculating. You don't know. So which one is the better code, previous one or this one? Which one is more understandable, more readable? The previous one. So that is why whenever you need to use the identifier, you should take the meaningful name for your identifiers. By looking at the variable name or identifier name or function name or class name, you should know that what is the purpose of using this name. Rajwal, Smita, Shrikant, Subhash, Amrita, Mudassir, Bhuvneshwari, is this clear to everyone? No, Mudassir, there is no link with this. You can have any length of the program, this variable name. It is just a pointer. It is just an identifier. So these are the points which I have explained you practically. So what is an identifier, case sensitive, meaningful name? And these are the examples. Then what are the rules for naming Python identifiers? Cannot use a reserved word. It should not contain white space. Then it cannot be a combination. It can be a combination of letters, capital letters, small letters, and digit, and underscore. You cannot start with underscore, or you cannot have any other special character other than underscore. Any problem to anyone in identifier? Thank you, Komal. Thank you, Bhuvneshwari. Let us move on to the next topic for the day, which is keywords. Which is keyword. So what are the keywords? I was talking about reserved words, which have some special meaning, which have some predefined meaning. So, for example, let me write a simple code to tell whether you are eligible to vote or not. So for this, let me use a variable with the name age, and let me write age as 19. And I want to check whether the person having the age 19 is eligible to vote or not. So I have the condition that if, so I have two options here, whether the person is eligible to vote or not. So I have two conditions here, yes or no. So I will be checking the age. that if the age of the person is greater than equal to 18, then he can or she can vote. And if the age of the person is less than 18, then the person cannot vote. So I have two choices. So when I need to decide, I want to go with which choices. So this is known as decision making. And when age is 19, so 19 is definitely greater than 18. It is coming under this case, so the person can vote. So I have to check this condition. If it is true, the person can vote. False, then the person cannot. So I will be implementing this logic and I will be using if block. To check the condition, I'm using if. So these are my conditional statement. So if age is greater than equal to 18, and I will be telling about the syntax of if and else in my conditional statement program. Then print can vote. And if this is false, print cannot vote. So what is this if? What is the age? Can anyone tell me what is this age? Can anyone tell me what is this age which is white in color? So let me tell you what are the building blocks in my program. So in the statement number 19, age is an identifier or the name of the variable. Is equal to is the assignment operator. And 19 is an integer value. And 19 is an integer value. So in my statement number 9, I have 3 tokens. So age is equal to 19. When I split my program, when I split my code into separate parts, each part is known as token. So I have 3 tokens here. Token number 1, which is an identifier. Token number 2, which is an assignment operator. And token number 3, it is an integer value. And these tokens are my building blocks of the program. Next, when I go to statement number 11. So statement number 11 says if age is greater than equal to 18. So age is the identifier. Greater than equal to is the relational operator. It is a comparison operator. And 18 is the integer value. Now what is this if? It is not a function. What is this if? It is a keyword. Next statement, print is a function and cannot vote, can vote and cannot vote is the argument to this function. Now what is this else? So else is written, else is not a function. What is this? It is a keyword. And it is telling the compiler or the interpreter that if you have if and else statement, if and else keyword in this statement, means you have to decide. You cannot print both the statement number 12 and statement number 14. You cannot print both. No, you can print only one. That if age is greater than 18, you can print 12 that the person can vote. And if the age is suppose 10, then you can print only the last statement, which is cannot vote. So you need to decide. You need to choose out of 2 options. You need to choose only one. You need to undergo decision making. So this is the meaning of these keywords, if, else, and these are reserved. Compiler will automatically derive the meaning from these words. And when I execute this, you can see I'm getting can vote because age is 19. Because age is 19 and it is greater than 18, it can vote. So I'm getting only one print statement, only statement number 12. And if I write age as 10, then 10 is less than 18, so the person cannot vote. So I'm getting only one output of the print statement, that is cannot vote. So who is telling the compiler or the interpreter to go to print which statement, whether to print can vote or whether to print cannot vote? It is actually stored in the meaning of these if else statements. So it has if else are the keyword, and it has some predefined or the special meaning which is taken up by the interpreter to produce the result, the desired and the expected result for us. Rajwal, Komal, Amrita, Silpa, Smita, Martin, is this clear? Next, next, how many keywords are there in Python? 3.11, there are 35 keywords. There are 35 keywords. And if you want to print the keywords, so you need to import a module which is known as keyword. So it is keyword. So this is an external module which you need to import in order to print the list of the keyword. And let me print the list of the keywords. So from the module, I will be using, so module is the keyword. And I will be calling a list of the keywords. And the list of the keywords is KWLIST. So the information of the keywords, how many keywords are present in Python, it is stored in a module, which is known as keyword. And from this keyword, if I need to print the list, so I have an attribute which is known as KW list, means keyword list. And how to call this list from this module? With the help of dot operator. So dot operator, so keyword dot KW list. That from this module, from this packet, I need to use this attribute. So suppose you can see that the set is vowel and I need to use E from the list. So E is the part of vowel in English alphabet, and how to call it using the dot operator. And when you execute this, you will be getting the list of the keywords. So can you see the list? You have comma separated values, false, none, true, and, as, assert, async, lambda, non-local, or, pass, try. So you are getting the entire list of the keyword that are present in Python 3.11. Import, here is the keyword, because I am using a package which is not the part of my program, which is not the part of my code. So this keyword is written, this package, this you can think of keyword, it is a packet which is containing this list. So the packet is placed somewhere else. So it is like the packet is placed in at Play Store. You can draw the analogy that this packet is an application which is there on the Play Store or iStore. And in order to use this application in your mobile phone, you need to install it. So how to install? So import is the keyword which is used to install that thing. And when you have the application, from the application, you can use any of the feature. Suppose it is a gaming application, so you can play any level. So keyword is a game, gaming application, and dot, if you want to play level 1, so you are calling level 1. But this gaming application is first deployed at the Play Store or iStore, and from there you need to install. If you want to use this gaming application onto your mobile phone, you need to install. And how you are installing here in Python? It is with the help of the keyword which is known as import. So I'm not defining the entire code of import. I'm just telling, I'm writing import and it is having a predefined meaning, and the interpreter is actually deciphering it, taking the meaning of this import, and then calling this key module to be a part of my program. And from this module, I'm printing the list of the keywords with the help of KW list. So this is the way to get all the keywords that are part of your Python programming language. Any problem to anyone? Is the analogy clear to everyone? Amruta, Vijay, Prajwal, Smita. Thank you, Martin. Thank you, Komal, Mudassar, for your response. And you cannot use these 35 words as the name of your variable, function, or classes, or you cannot use it as an identifier simply. Now, what are the data types? This is my third topic for this basics of Python. Third point, fundamental data types. So what do you mean by data type? So again, let me just give you a very simple example. Suppose I'm writing bat, ball, gloves, hockey stick, racket. So I want to categorize these things. So these things are belonging to which category? Can anyone tell me? These things are belonging to which category? Yes, these are sports stuff, right? If I'm writing pen, pencil, notebook, colors, book, and I want you to categorize these things. So these things are belonging to which category? Stationery, absolutely correct. So what I'm doing, I am putting a label. I am putting a label here and to all these things. So first label is sport stuff. Second label is stationery. So these labels are used to categorize the things that I am categorizing all the things in the first part into sports stuff. The second category which I am using for these things is the stationery. So similarly, in programming also, if I'm writing 10, 100, 20, 30, so these values are having some similarities. So I want to categorize these values. So can you tell me what is the category? What is the characteristics of these values? These are integers, numerical value, and that too integers. So this is first label. Next, if I'm using 10.5, 31.6, 100.87, so what is the category of these values? So these are decimal values, right? And here we are telling float. These are decimal values of float. If I'm writing hello, Ram, good night. So if I want to categorize these values, these are text values. And the text values are known as a string. So what I'm doing, I'm putting a label for each category. This is label number 1. This is label number 2. And this is label number 3. If I'm talking about true and false, so these are my Boolean literals. So in Boolean logic, in Boolean algebra, we have only two things, true or false. So these are my Boolean literals. So switch off or switch on. So these are my 4 categories. And what are these categories? These are the data types. And these are defining the value, that what type of value I am using. So what is the type of value? 100. So it is an integer value. So 30.1.31.6, it is a float value. Ram, it is a string. It is a text value. True with capital T, it is a Boolean literal. So these are the data types. It is telling me what type of value, what kind of value I'm using. What is the category of this value to which this value belongs to. And this label is really very important. The label of these data type is really important. And why these are important, I will be telling you in tomorrow's class. But if I need to find the type of any value, I have an inbuilt function in Python, which is having the name type. So there is a type function. Suppose I need to know the type of 10 or any value or any variable which is holding the value. I will be passing it as the argument to my function. And this will give me the data type, that what kind of value 10 is, what kind of value 31.6 is, what kind of value hello is. So I'm able to find the type or the category of any value with the help of an inbuilt function which is known as type. So let me just implement this. Are the font size on this editor clear to everyone? Is it easily visible to everyone? Okay, great. Thank you for your response. So I'm using A as 10. I'm using B as 31.6. I'm using C as hello. And I am using D to store a Boolean literal that is true. And remember, it is case sensitive. In Boolean literal, capital T should be capital. In false, F should be capital. And what I need to do, I need to print, because whenever I want to display some output on the screen, I need to have a print function. And in the print function, what I'm using, I want to print the type of variable A. So I'm using two functions. So this is nesting of the function. So this is nesting of the function. So one function inside another function. So first, this function will provide the data type of A, and that data type will be printed by this print function. So output of one function is served as the input to other. So that is nesting. Similarly, I want to check the type of B. I want to check the type of C, and I want to check the type of D. And let me execute this. So you can see I'm getting the output that A belongs to class integer, B belongs to class float, C belongs to class string, and D belongs to class bool. And this is the output which I'm getting. And this is ensuring me that Python is an object-oriented program, because here these object A, B, C, D, these values are stored in variables, and variables are considered as an object, and object belongs to classes. So we are the objects which are having physical existence. So variables are the containers which are actually having some physical space to be occupied. And these variables are belonging to, these values are belonging to some class. We have the physical existence, we are the object, and we belong to class human beings. We belong to class Homo sapiens. So this is the proof that Python is an object-oriented program, because here we will be dealing about objects which are belonging to some classes. And the function that I have taught you here is the type function, which is to determine that label, that class, that type of the value which I'm using. And why knowing this type, why knowing this data type is important, I will be explaining it tomorrow. So today I have covered identifiers, keywords, and I will be taking, I have just given you the gist of data types, not completed it. I'll be completing it tomorrow. So my humble request, can I have a quick feedback for today's session in the chat box? Thank you, Shrikant. Mudassir, this content will be shared. Yes, this content will be shared on your portal. You will be getting these PPTs and recording through your portal. I'll be giving it to the team to upload. Thank you, Smita. So other candidates as well, can you please provide the feedback for the today's session? Only one liner, not much. Thank you, Komal. Thank you, Subhash. So that is the end of today's session. Thank you for patient listening. Bye, everyone. See you all tomorrow. Have a good night.